Okay. Well, my name is Peter Hwosch, and I am a filmmaker and musician and conflict resolution facilitator with the Compassionate Listening Project. And I've been working in a number of conflict and post-conflict regions in the world, and have been very interested primarily with bridging divides and understanding and helping to facilitate people coming across very deep ideological differences, which doesn't mean giving up your point of view, but it's all about really opening to another's point of view to hear their story and feel their story, opening your heart and mind, and without necessarily changing your point of view, giving the gift of listening, deep listening, to people who feel differently. And I've come to really recognize that sustainable solutions, that the issues that are facing not only America but the world, require everybody being at the table and everybody's point of view being heard. The creative third way rises when all those voices are present. And it really seems to prove over and over again that sustainable solutions require that kind of engagement, even from the most marginalized voices. They have a very important piece of the puzzle that needs to be heard and integrated and respected, or at least understood. And so from that place, a lot of things can change that seem very insurmountable, that seem impossible. It's really quite remarkable to see what can happen when we show up, drop from our points of view enough to hear somebody else's, and have an inquisitive mind and an open heart to people's personal experiences, because everybody has a story for how they got to where they are, no matter what their points of view are, their political positioning, what they're advocating. It's all coming from personal experience. And generally speaking, everything that's going on the planet that's difficult is rooted in pain and fear. And if we can get to that pain and fear long enough to recognize it and allow that voice to really come and be present, it dissipates on its own. Often just recognizing what people's experience is what they need to soften their points of view and their positions, is just simply being heard. And that's really at the root of the Compassionate Listening Project, which has been a foundational practice in my life since, let's see, that would have been 98. I was a musician and had a recording studio in San Francisco for 10 years, and I was doing music and sweetening for films and video, and I found myself producing my first film with the Compassionate Listening Project in Israel and the Palestinian territories, traveling across all those lines and listening very deeply with delegations to all points of view. And that experience really had a profound impact on my sense of activism, on my sense of right and wrong, good and bad, just and unjust. And I recognized that if I were living the lives of many of these people I was hearing from, I might actually share their opinions. And that was a really pivotal moment in my life, and it changed my relationship to activism, and it changed my relationship to my own heart. And of course, it challenged me to do this practice internally first, which is really what makes it almost a spiritual practice for me, is that I have to start bringing in the divides within myself and all the voices that are critical about my own behavior or my own experiences or my own rigidness in beliefs, to really question with an open heart and an open mind, and mix that notion of having a razor-sharp dedication to recognizing shadow, coupled with a really important relationship to holding compassion. Those two together can really dissolve a tremendous amount of tension and pain. So that's my the kind of foundation under which I do all of my work, whether it's music or video production for helping grow and communicate reconciliation-oriented projects that I'm involved with around the world. And some of those include a project in the Balkans that I've been working with since 2002 called the Seedlings of Peace Summer Camp. Well, actually, it's part of an organization called Ecocenter Latinovac, and this is a group that brings youth from all three sides of the war in former Yugoslavia to a small village in eastern Croatia, and we help facilitate communication skills and dialogue skills and create an environment and a container. Really, the work is creating this container where these three ethnicities can come together and really just hang out and be together. That's all youth really need to break down stereotypes and find friendships and connect with each other. Creating the container is really what the work is. And we do a lot of different workshops, you know, NVC, compassionate listening, gender stuff. I mean, it really goes across the board. And it can change from year to year what we're focusing on and what trainers come down to teach what. But the bottom line is that it's really about softening and opening and creating, in that region, a kind of vortex, if you will, of love and openness in an otherwise very dark and traumatized region. That 12 years after the war there is very far from being healed. So that's an extraordinary project, and I've made a film about that called Beyond These Narrow Borders that I would invite you to view. There's a short edit and a longer one that follows the experiences of these kids, young people. They're not kids. These are very old souls who have come through a kind of hell and are reaching out towards one another. So really, they're teachers of mine. That's one reason I continue to go back, is that I deepen in this practice. There's also, I've made 2 films in Israel and Palestine with the Compassionate Listening Project, Children of Abraham and Crossing the Lines. For the last 3 years now, I guess it is, I've been working with the Reuniting America project, and that's now that's been about bridging the divide between the far left and right in the political arena of America at a very high leadership level in retreat settings where they come together on issues that are concerning Americans. And it's been an extraordinary experience, and it's an extraordinary project that brings very high level leadership together in away from the Beltway, away from the political arena that has this sort of fighting like tooth and nail, and brings these adversaries into an entirely different energy, let's say, really, as well as physical space. Usually they're retreat centers in very beautiful places with natural surroundings, and the first day or two have nothing to do with the topic at hand, but are about connecting to who are we, and you know, what's your family like, and what did America mean to you at 12 years old, and really coming to recognize a commonality of love for country, love for, you know, very touching ideals, and connecting to the experiences that formed those ideals, and really creating relationship from which mutual concerns can be found and collaborative action can be taken. And it's been incredible. I've had a really remarkable honor to be interviewing participants and, you know, sitting with people who represent millions and millions of Americans and millions of dollars from opposing points of view, watching them recognize their common interests and act together on areas of mutual concern. And this is I think the time is ripe for this. It's got to happen, and it is happening, and it's very exciting to see. That project is also morphing into the Citizen Wing, which is the Transpartisan Alliance, which is now organizing the first Transpartisan Citizen Summit, which will gather in February on Lincoln's bicentennial, to, as a group of diverse citizens, come together on areas of mutual concern and develop a citizens' policy on the various issues that are most important to them at the time. And so I'm looking forward to taping that and creating films around that to help that voice get out.